everyone, I'm Edyta Sitar from Laundry Basket Quilts. Welcome to Quilting Window. I am so thankful and so excited for you. We are working on our Winter Village Quilt Along. We just finished our first row. How beautiful. Now we're going for our second row and a third block that it's right here. So we did block 1, block 2, now in block 3. In block 3 we have a house 6, 7, and 8, and that's what we're gonna focus on it today. I hope you brought your fun energy and you wanted to quilt with me. I'm so excited for it. We're working using our Blue Sky collection. Some girls have kits, some are using our beautiful Blue Sky bundles. They're available on our website at laundrybasketquilts.com. Just visit, you will find everything. If you're just joining us in, you just need our pattern for Winter Village. Winter Village, that's the pattern that we're working from, and we are making beautiful houses. And if you can make a 1, you can make a dozen. I can already tell some girls have their and boys have their favorite houses. You're gonna need a little bit of Orifil thread, some patience, rotary, ruler, fabric. You can use fabrics from your stash, or you can get our fabric, like I said, from our website, from our Blue Sky collection. We have everything available on our website. I'm using Creative Grits rulers. I absolutely love them. The 4.5 by 12.5, one of my personal favorites. And we do have special edition little Orifil threads, and you can do the touch of blue, or if you moa, tone on tone, the signature style are wonderful threads. So that's what you need for today to start and have some fun with us. Our block number 6, our little houses right here. This house is made from 3 little townhouses, a tiny little one with a cute little chimney. Let's make them together. As we are going through our cutting direction, you will follow the pattern on a page 10, where there is a house number 6, and you will cut all your pieces before you start your assembly. When I cut my pieces, I grab my pencil, and just like I'm in a grocery store, I go through my list and go A, done, B, done, and I start cutting. So for example, A, it's a little square for our roof, 3.5 by 3.5, and I'm gonna cut 3 of them. Why I'm cutting 3 of them? Because I have 3 units to this house. Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3. So everything is gonna be cut 3 times. All the measurements and all how many pieces you needed are in the pattern. I'm cutting from 3 different fabrics. So fabric 1, 2, and 3, and then I shuffle the pieces around so that way all the houses looks fun and scrappy. All right. So like I said, we're gonna cut roof, square, we're gonna cut rectangle for our house, we're gonna cut a little square for our window. We're going to need a small square for a chimney right here, and we're gonna need a background cut for rectangles and a background rectangle right here for the sky. This fabric has a direction, so make sure you put all your pieces in the same direction. Also, this little fabric has a direction, so for the roof does not matter. You just rotate and put the fabric anywhere you want it. I'm putting the flowers going up. Here for this part, I put all my pieces going the same direction. You don't want to go back and forth. As long the fabric goes the same direction, that does not mean you always have to go up. Just so it goes in the same direction, you're gonna be just fine. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna grab top rectangle, sew it to my window using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, flip it open. Now I'm gonna sew the bottom rectangle, flip it open. As soon as I finish, I'm gonna go ahead, add rectangle on the left and on the right. If your rectangle on the right and the left is too small and or too big, you need to check your 1/4 inch seam allowance. Make sure that it's correct, so that way the pieces fit right nicely together. Sew this to this and this to this. push your seam allowance towards the dark. We're going to assemble the house in a row. So we are going to finish sewing your second house and a third one, and this is gonna be one row. Then we're gonna go ahead and sew our roofs, and this is another row, and I push my seam allowance towards the left on my roof, and I push my seam allowance between my houses towards the right. So that way when I sew roofs to the houses, I lock my seams. Right here, we do not have to worry about which way. We just push it towards the dark, towards the chimney, towards the chimney, towards the chimney. Sew it into the row. Please bring it closer together. Put it right sides together. Pin, pin. Make sure that it fits beautifully. Sew this to this. Wonderful. And now we're gonna go ahead and have a beautiful row sewn together. Add this to the top and let me show you the results. They are just wonderful. This is one of the simpler ones to do it, and such a cute fun results. And on the right side I sewed our sashing. I placed it right sides together. Remember, every time we make a house we add a sashing to it, every time except the houses on this edge, because they're next to the border, they don't need a sashing. So right here I sewed it, flipped it open, and our house number 6 is finished. All right, but our work for today is not done yet. We need our house 7. So what I'm going to do is I take my pattern, I flip it. Hold on, I have to get the right page. Oh, perfect. 7 is right here. Super. 7 is right here. So I need my pieces for house 7. I'm going to need, and I start on the top of the list, a rectangle, 4 by 7.5. Super. Then I'm gonna need all of my other pieces, and I'm going to start with rectangle B. Right there, rectangle B. I need 2 of them. So I cut it, mark it off my list. Remember, mark it off my list, mark it off my list. That's how you do this. You remember now, this is going to be sashing on the right side, and we have a beautiful top, window, middle, window, bottom. Wonderful. Follow the direction, cut all your fabric, and my advice for you is when I cut all my fabrics, I lay everything else, I double check, and I'm ready to sew because I know I have all my pieces. I mark them off my list. Everything looks wonderful. So now I'm gonna start by sewing my windows into rows. This is going to be a window row. I'm gonna add my door to it. Remember, every time you sew, you place pieces right sides together. You use your pins, you sew it using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, you flip it open. And I wanted to tell you, from all the comments, some girls were saying, what do I do wrong? My row is a little crooked. Make sure you have a leaders when you start sewing. That way you already have a good 1/4 inch allowance started up. Just sew it straight. If things are not right, guess what? You just trim it on the top and the bottom. Have some fun. Don't be too hard on yourself. Enjoy it, enjoy it, enjoy it. Once you finish sewing the windows, you're gonna go ahead and sew the side rectangles. Let me show you how I did. I have them ready, set, go. Side rectangles right here. I sewed it together. Notice it. Sewed it together right here. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Starting from the top. I pin, pin, pin. Sew it. Press it, flip it open. The same in this unit right here. Sew it, flip it open. And now again, we need to sew this to this. And this is the tricky part where we want to make sure our windows are matching beautifully. So again, remember our technique? We crease it just like this. Now we have a nice point to match. And I like to crease it when it's a long distance, more than one spot. Look at this, is important to me too. too. I want to make sure this one and this seams are matching. So now I have 1, 2, 3 creases where I'm going to put pins, and this will guarantee for me that I'm in the right spot. If you do not want a crease, easy. You're gonna take your beautiful ruler, you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna grab your fabric pencil, and you're gonna make a tiny little mark. See this pink? Tiny little mark it. And now you know you need this seam, match it up with your pink mark. All right, so you can do that if you wanna. I'm using the creasing technique because many times I am right at my sewing machine and I do not want to get up and find my pencil. I know, now you know it. I'm so excited about just sewing. So now I'm just checking everything is matching. Super. I'm gonna pin it. I'm gonna pin it again. Super. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Make sure you don't flip any of those seam allowances. So when you're approaching a seam allowance, I like to use a pin and just gently hold down on a corner. Start it or lift that foot, set it right on it. Don't rush. You only have few seams. You're only making one block from every single design. So you don't have to rush. You want it to look nice. And yes, flip it open. Another question that I had was, can I place a little kitty in my window? Absolutely. Be my guest. If you have a little fabric with a little kitten or little doggy, cut those out, fussy cut it, put it in a window, and maybe a little flower that you want in your window. Make your houses nice and happy. As soon as you finish sewing all the rows right here, you're gonna go ahead and add a roof right to it by just placing right sides together. If things are not right, it is time to check your 1/4-inch seam allowance and sew it, trim it. You want to make sure that it's not, if it's too small, let's check. You're taking too much fabric. Your 1/4 seam allowance should be nice and correct. So this is a perfect quilt for beginner, for advanced, for any quilters that want to just enjoy sewing but check things out. And I have to tell you, over the years I have learned larger pieces, bigger distance to make a mistake from A to B. Smaller pieces, less distance to make a mistake. So for this, because it's such a big pieces, it is, sometimes a chance you pull or push, on the fabric and then things are not right. But no less, I believe in you. You're gonna have the most wonderful time. And guess what? Add that sashing on the right side and you have a house number 7 ready, set, go into the quilt. And did you notice that special door with a flower on it that I have put into my quilt? I didn't do it in my sample block. I should have. That would have been so much fun. So I guess you get to do it. I'm reminding you, make sure you cut some fun swatch and put it into your door or to your window. It's time to play and have some fun. Push your seam allowance towards the sashing, ready, set, go. You have your block number 7 done. And now, quick and easy, I call this one a little shed. Yes, that's what it is. We need a house number 8. So I'm gonna flip my page. I'm on house number 8, right here, house number 8, and I'm going to start pulling my pieces. I need my A. For the roof, I'm gonna cut a square once diagonally. So I cut a square once diagonally to make a half square triangle. I'm gonna need a half square triangle in light H. And remember, so if I did an A, I did this. When I did an H, okay, did that. So I'm marking things off my list. It doesn't have to be in order. It could be as I'm cutting them. I can choose and pick. If I have a light fabric pulled out, I'm gonna cut A, I, H, and F. So I'm gonna cut all of those pieces. You're gonna say why they are not in order. I don't know. I just did them the way as I go. What made sense to me as I was building that block, I knew I want my half square triangles and keep going that way. So, and by now you're gonna notice, gee, guess what? I had little leftover from a house before. It's gonna be perfect for my shed, for a window. I need a rectangle for the top, a little square for the top of the window, rectangle for the bottom of the window, side rectangle, a bigger rectangle on this side. See, mark all your pieces, and now you are ready for house number 8. We're gonna start by placing our half square triangles together, just like this. And I'm gonna gently pin it. I'm gonna sew it straight down. And as soon as I finish sewing, I'm gonna go ahead and open it up, just like this. Open it up, push my seam allowance towards the dark, and I'm gonna go ahead and trim my beautiful half square triangle unit. And your half square triangle unit should be 4.5 by 4.5. Super. Oh, and you know what? I love using my Creative Grits ruler. Right away I'm looking for this line right here, that 45-degree line. So I match my line with the middle seam in my half square triangle unit right here. That way I know when I'm trimming, I'm not trimming more than I needed to. So right there, I'm gonna go ahead, trim, beautiful. I hope you're having a wonderful day and enjoying quilting with me. I hope you're having so much fun building a village. Please, if you're making your quilt and you posting pictures, tag me on it. I so much love seeing your quilts, girls and guys. So please, I love seeing your quilts. Tag me by hashtag the blog, the Quilt Along Laundry Basket Quilts, or hashtag Winter Village Quilt Along. Now I just trimmed my low roof unit. Perfect. Now I'm gonna go ahead, sew this to this, this to this, do the sides. Perfect. Let's see how it came out. Wonderful. Look at this. Wonderful. And the pieces want to twist a little bit. You are the one that is in charge. You're gonna go ahead, pin it on the top, pin it on the bottom right there. Wonderful. It's matching really nice. Pin, sew it, flip it open, do the same thing on this side. As soon as you finish, you're gonna go ahead, sew this to this, this to this, press it, and I would push my seam allowance towards the roof right there, and I would go ahead and push this seam allowance towards the roof as well. I have 2 seams that gonna be wanting to push that way. Now you're gonna go ahead, add that sashing on the right side, and your beautiful block, it is gonna look so nice. Look at this. Ready, set, go to put it into the quilt. Oh, and if you would like to, you can sew those units together. This is your block number 3. You can, if you wanted to. We already have sewn all of this together. We made our blocks, sewed them, made all our houses, sew them into the blocks, and now sew the 2 blocks together. So our first row is done. Now we're gonna go for a second block right here, sew the houses together. So excited about it. I am just so proud of you, and I know you're waiting patiently. Let me keep those guys out because you wanted to see that low minis. Look at this. Isn't that the cutest? Oh, I'm making those from our little leftovers from all of the different fabric. And remember, they're every Wednesday I'm posting recipes for those little guys. That's little extra. I know you wanted to know how do I figure it out, the recipe for those. So for this cute little quilt, let's do this one, the first one right here. Let me pull the big one. We're gonna, for the last time, refresh. How do you do a recipe for those beautiful blocks? Let me get my pattern. Super. I have my pattern by me because I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. And we're gonna go over the recipe. How do you size your block down? You look at the unfinished measurements of a unit. So for example, if a unit is I have to cut it 1.5 by 3.5 for a large block, unfinished. That's what I cut. Then what is the size that it's finished? It's 1 by 3. How did I come up with that? Because this has a 1/2 inch seam allowance. This is the finished size. So next, what I do is divide it by 2. 1 divided by 2 is 1.5. 3 divided by 2 is 1 1/2. This is the finished measurements of a small unit, finished unit for the small quilt. What do I need to cut? I have to add a 1/2 inch for my seam allowance. 1 by 2 is the unfinished cut. So let's practice one of our pieces. Let's do piece A. This one is 3.5 by 3.5. 3.5 by 3.5. Perfect. Let's do it together. I know you wait a whole week to do this with me. You love math. You like to challenge yourself and do something on your own. So our A unit is 3.5 inches, of course, by 3.5 inches. So finish. This is unfinished. That's what I need to cut for this unit. So finish would have been 3 inches by 3 inches. Super. Now this is how it's gonna look when it's sewn in. Finish means sewn in a block. Half of it is 1 1/2 by 1 1/2, of course, inches. Now that's finish. For this unit, that's a 50% smaller, 50% smaller, only quarter of what you are doing here. So we are sizing this half size. Now, if this is the finished size, what are the measurements if I have to cut for this cute little block? It would be 2 inches by 2 inches. How did I come up with it? I add a 1/2 inch to finish measurements because I need it for a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And that's what you do with all of the measurements. You figured it out. What is the finished size? You divide it by 2, and then you go ahead plus a 1/2 inch, and that's the recipe. So you from now on can make a mini out of any of your blocks and have some fun with it. So enjoy it. I am going to post your recipe for the mini quilt on Wednesday. First we're doing our big blocks. Friday blog has a big block. Wednesday blog has a mini one. I hope you're enjoying it and making both of the quilts, or if you're just making one, or if you're just watching us and enjoying visiting and having fun. I am thankful you tune in. Please make sure give us thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well as our newsletter, and make sure you visit our website at laundrybasketquilts.com for all your special needs. Happy quilting, and I am so thankful you took the time and wanted to quilt with me. I have some wonderful news coming up for you guys, so tune in. We have something super special coming in next few days, and I cannot wait to share it with you. Happy quilting!